Hey, good evening, and welcome into Two Daves and a Mike's podcast spinoff Shelby Golden Lions football. Gonna start the episode tonight with a somber note. I want to pass along the information that Coach Jim Taylor has passed away today. Coach Taylor had been in failing health and had spent some time recently in the hospital before being moved to hospice, and he has passed away this afternoon. We will certainly be praying for the Taylor family, Greg, Brad, Cheryl, and all the folks there, and then obviously pass along at a later time potentially service service arrangements for Coach Taylor. So again, want to pass along our prayers and thoughts to the Taylor family on the passing of Coach Jim Taylor today. On another somber note, the Golden Lions losing tonight at Lincoln 35-34 in overtime. I think just kind of going to briefly touch on that tonight. Was hoping that Jakari Shell would be able to get on with me again tonight. Juice was on the radio tonight. I think that was making his radio debut for KTC Broadcasting along with Brent Pasco. I think Coach Jeff Jones must have been out of town this weekend. Juice set in for Coach Jones, and unfortunately, though it was on a losing night, Shelby had chances in this game, I felt like, to win the game in regulation. It just didn't happen. Biggest plays of the game were negatives for Shelby. Shelby was going in. I think at that time the score was 7-6. And threw an interception. Lamb Farmer threw an interception at the 1 yard line going in. Lincoln then went on a 99-yard drive to take a 13-6 lead. Shelby then was able to come back from that and actually take a 20-13 lead at halftime. But then on the opening kickoff of the second half, Shelby had scored late to take that 20-13 lead in the first half. And then, it was a possibility that they could go up 2 touchdowns if they come out and score on the second half kickoff. And instead, they turned it over again on the 1 yard line. So 2 turnovers on the one resulting in Lincoln having to go 99 yards, the other one resulting in Lincoln going 1 yard. So Lincoln was able to tie the game up to start the second half. 10 seconds in, I think 11:50 on the clock when they actually scored. The Mayfield kid, the big linebacker that's a 4 or 5 star kid that's already got multiple offers all over the country, definitely was a factor in the ball game, but he was just as big a factor on short yardage touchdown and first down runs offensively as he was on defense. I think the Shelby offensive line for the most part did a good job picking him up when he blitzed and things like that. But in general, he was, a force to be reckoned with throughout the course of the ball game on both sides of the ball. He actually scored the touchdown in overtime that got Lincoln in the spot to go for the 2-point conversion that they were able to hit. So, needless to say, those 2 turnovers for Shelby, again, the one going in for a potential touchdown, and then the second one that set up a 1 yard touchdown run for Lincoln, really were the difference in the ball game. Additionally, penalties again tonight, just horrendous penalties against Shelby. I personally can't believe that that Shelby's the only team on the field that's creating the penalties. But last week week before last against Stuart Kramer, they had like 18 penalties for 200 yards. I don't know what the stats were tonight, but again, it was just a tremendous number of penalties tonight against Shelby. Holding call after holding call after holding call. And against the offensive line. And on the flip side of that, Lincoln wasn't flagged, I don't think, for holding maybe once all night long. There were a couple of late flags, one in particular that set up a first down on a drive. Lincoln was deep in Shelby territory, and on a third down and long play, they called a defensive pass interference on Shelby, and it was really late, and it was the side judge on the Lincoln side. It seems like that's always the case too. It's like whoever the side judge is on the opposing team's side makes a lot of calls against the Golden Lions. I don't know if it's legit or not, but they would be able to tell more about it with the video breakdown. There were a couple of incidences late in the game. I thought there was some potential time management issues. Shelby was going for it on a 4th and 5 and did not take a timeout with about 2 minutes to go. That caused them to then go to 4th and 10, and they still went for it because they were out of field goal range and they were too close to punt. So they were going for it on 4th down no matter what, and they came up a yard short. So they got a 4th and 9, or they got 9 on 4th and 10 and came up a yard short, turned it over on downs. As it turned out, Lincoln was not able to score with that, but I thought that was a place where Shelby should have used a timeout. And if they'd have gotten 9 yards on the play on 4th and 5, obviously they would have kept the drive alive and would have been in position to score in regulation. Then the other one was with about 20 seconds left. Shelby was running the clock. Coach Wilbanks seemed really frustrated with somebody on the punt team that was either on the field and shouldn't have been or not on the field, whatever. But Shelby was basically running the clock down so that Lincoln didn't have a chance to get anything going. It was about 23 seconds left on the clock, but there were like 9 seconds left on the play clock, and he took a timeout. So I don't know what was going on there. Again, he was very upset with the kids on the field at that particular play, and I think maybe just in frustration took that timeout rather than letting that play clock go all the way down to 0 and calling the timeout with, or almost 0, taking the timeout with 1 second left. That would have put them at maybe 12 seconds left when they snapped it to kick the field goal. And then Lincoln probably only gets 1 snap. Instead, they got a couple of snaps. Didn't matter. They didn't score. It ended up going to overtime. And again, kudos to Lincoln. They got the big package in and scored on a 2nd and goal from the 1. And then on the 2-point conversion, they spread everybody out. I tell you what, that quarterback, he's only about 5'8", 165, but he is a tremendous athlete. He kept Shelby just kind of scrambling on defense all night long, trying to keep up with him. And when they didn't, he made them pay both with his legs and throwing the football. So Lincoln has already beaten Burns. Now they've beaten Shelby, so they are in the driver's seat now with 3 games left to win the conference. Their only competition left is Stuart Cramer. Stuart Cramer did win tonight, 21-0 over West Lincoln. They have lost, of course, both to Shelby and Burns, so there's probably not a good chance for Stuart Cramer to upset Lincoln, but that would really be Shelby or Burns' only hope. And, of course, then they would have still lost head-to-head to Lincoln. So it really, at this point, it looks like it's Lincoln's conference championship to win or to lose, however you want to say that. I've always thought it was interesting to say it was a team's, such and such to lose. But to me, it's theirs to win. So all they got to do is take care of business the last couple of weeks, and they should. By all accounts, they were 6-1 coming into the game. They improved to 7-1. They are 5-0. They were 5-0. They're now 6-0 in the conference. So this is Shelby's first loss in the conference. The Golden Lions finish up with East Gaston, Bessemer City, and Burns. Those are the 3 left on the schedule for Shelby. Next week it'll be East Gaston, then they'll be home for homecoming against Bessemer, and then they finish up the season with Burns, the regular season. So we'll see how it goes with playoffs and all that kind of stuff. The RPI, there's a lot of talk about the RPI and how that's going to affect. It doesn't really matter what your conference championship, you're champion of the conference or not. You got to, your seeding is going to be based on RPI. So that's a situation where, because now Shelby is not going to win the conference potentially after this loss tonight, their RPI could also be damaged with this loss tonight. And with both of those things in kind of play, Shelby may be on the road sooner rather than later in the playoffs. And of course, I don't think that's always such a bad thing. Big news late in that game, though, was that on the Shelby touchdown in overtime, Jalen Tate was injured. Jalen had a tremendous game. I think he had about 86, 87 yards rushing. He had another 55, 56 yards receiving, scored 4 touchdowns, including the one in overtime. But he was injured on the play, and I don't think he took a hit at the line of scrimmage. He was into the end zone. So I don't know, they had turf at Lincolnton. I don't know if it was a turf injury or not. He went down. He was actually over the end line out of bounds where he went down. So I don't know if that – I don't know what happened. But I did see him. They had him on a golf cart, and they had him iced up. They had his knee iced up as they were taking him after the game for treatment or to the hospital or wherever they were taking him. I don't know. But that is a huge situation. He was banged up early, and Shelby's running game was non-existent in the first couple of games. If he is banged up and is going to miss time, whether it's next week against East Gaston or if it's the rest of the season or whatever, that's going to be difficult for Shelby to bounce back from that. So all that being said, again, Lincoln tonight, upsets. You can call it upset if you want to. They were undefeated in the conference, and so was Shelby. But at the same point, I think it's an upset, even though it was at a home for Lincoln. They win it tonight again in overtime, 35-34. And again, the big news of the day, and we passed it along as we started the pod. But again, our condolences go out to Coach Taylor's family as Coach Jim Taylor passed away earlier today. That's going to do it for this week's wrap up of the Shelby Golden Lions football on Two Daves and a Mic podcast. We will be back with 2 Daves and a Mic on Tuesday night, and then we'll see you right back here for the breakout podcast next Friday night as Shelby takes on East Gaston. Have a good night. We'll see you. Peace.